Nate, after I watched your interview with Kim's family, without hesitation, I decided to compromise my safety. I can't be silent for too long. The other side of the story must be known. I don't know what will happen next, but I just put the trust to God, as I know I am telling the truth and that I am innocent. On October 7, 2024, I was at home and doing something at the garage. All my activities were recorded in our CCTV. At around 12:30 to 1 p.m. US time and date, I got a call from unknown number. It called me 4 to 5 times, but I ignored it, thinking it was just a random call from telemarketers. I also got a message request in my Facebook Messenger, an account named Just Utah, that read, "Hello Henry, this is Michael." I accepted the message request. I replied with thumbs up. Just Utah called me, missed to answer the call. When I saw a message call, I called him back, but my call didn't get through. Just Utah called me again. I answered the call. Just Utah and heard the voice of Mike. He asked me if I am at home and that he wanted me to do a favor. He told me to open the back door fence at their house.
Henry, one moment. Sorry, you cut out. If you can still hear me, you cut
For
out.
that, Kim and my wife.
Henry, I'm sorry. Can you hear me? You cut
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
You cut out. You
Okay.
cut out. You cut out right when you said he asked me to open the outdoor fence of their house. So can you start right there?
Hold on. Hold on. He asked me if I am at home and that he wanted me to do a favor. He told me to open the back door fence of their house because they sold their gas stove and someone was coming to get it. I asked Mike, how can I get in? Because I know that Kim and my wife are still out and I don't have the key. Mike told me he will give the passcode of the garage. He asked me to just leave the back door and fence open because they might need water or juice from inside the house. He told me not to worry because they are their friends. They will get also the gas too. We have a gift for Mike for his retirement and the gift of their vacation. I thought it was perfect time to bring it to them because we actually give it to them during our dinner on that Sunday, October 6, 2024. But they forgot to bring it home. After our conversation, I went inside to get the gift at the sofa. Again, it was recorded in our CCTV. I head to Mike's house. As I walked to the house of Mike, I even saw a police car in front of the Roosevelt Junior High. So I went inside the garage using the passcode Mike gave me. While inside, while inside, I put the gift I brought at their kitchen table and went out using the back door and left it open as per instruction of Mike. One of our neighbors saw me, came out at the house back door. I started walking to the gym. While at the gym, I have some weights for about 20 minutes and walk home again. At the intersection, after I crossed the traffic light near UBMC Hospital, Just Utah called me again. It was Mike and told me if I can pick them up at the Constitution Park. And that time, and that I can use the car of Kim. When he said them, I thought I'll pick up Kim and my wife. I told him I forgot the garage passcode he gave me and said I can use the back door. I can use the back door because it's open anyway. So I head to Mike's house and used the same road. I used going to the gym. When I was at the back door, I saw the gas stove was still there. So I did not close the back door fence. I got the car key from their key holder inside the house. When I started the car and I opened the garage, the surroundings were now slightly lit because the car windows were not tinted. I observed a lot of things were piled at the back seat, boxes, bags, to name a few, but I didn't focus much on those things. I know it's normal to have some stuff in the car. I drive the car out of the garage and head to Constitution Park. Just Yuta or Mike called me again. He informed me that they were already picked up and going to Ashley Hospital in Vernal. He told me to go there. I usually talk on speaker because my mobile was defected. So I ended the call with Mike. I heard a weird sound coming from the car. A person that seems to have difficulty in breathing. I immediately parked the car on the side road. I heard the sound coming from behind. I looked back and I was shocked because there was a person under the file boxes and the bags, and I recognized it was Kim. She was blindfolded, her mouth was sealed. Her mouth was sealed with tape, and there were a lot of blood. I called Mike many times, but my call didn't get through. So my wife, I immediately thought of my wife because I remember she was with Kim that day. I called her. She didn't pick up. I called my son and asked where his mom, and he told me mom was cooking in the kitchen. I told my son meet me in Naples City. At that moment, I don't know what to do. I continued driving going to Constitution Park. When I was in front of Roosevelt Junior High, I fully stopped of the car on the side road because I can take the smell of the blood and began to vomit. There was a car behind me, and I'm sure whoever was driving saw me to vomit. I kept calling just Utah account, but can't reach it. I decided to driving. I passed by Roosevelt police station, but that time I was out of my mind. I don't know what to do. I continued driving to Naples. I saw my son parked in UPS. I continued driving to Naples because I decided to go to Naples police station. But before the traffic light, I am supposed to go to the right side, but out of fear, and I don't really what to do. I drive straight and turn back and meet my son. I gave him a hand signal to follow me, and just I continue driving. At that moment, I really don't know where to go because I am not familiar with the place. That was the time I stopped the car of the side road. I left Kim's car while my son was driving going home. I screenshot the messages Just Yuta sent me. When we got home, my wife told me Mike has sent her a message asking where Kim might be. I was still in shock. I know that Mike knew where Kim was, but I didn't tell to my wife. After a minute, I checked my Facebook Messenger and saw and Just Yuta unsent the messages he sent me earlier. After a while, I saw Mike posted that his wife was missing. That night, me and my wife went to their house because I really wanted to talk to Mike in front of my wife. A police officer came as well as old lady. So me and my wife left. Next morning, I woke up my wife early and we went to Mike's house and brought along our youngest son. I really wanted to talk to Mike about what happened, but still we didn't get the chance to talk to Mike that morning because there were already 4 people inside the house. I saw Mike. He keeps pretending he doesn't know. He was on the phone. I heard that they're talking about credit cards and etc. Mike also mentioned about Maverick and Walmart receipts. Now I observed that the back door fence was closed and the gas stove was still there. The gift I left at the table was gone. I saw Jessica Warren came in. I wanted to talk to her, but I didn't know how or what to tell her. More people came in, so we went home at around 11 a.m. or 12 noon. I saw Mike walking down. I met him and talked to him along the street behind our truck. I asked him, "What's going on, Mike?" He told me. They kicked him out. They took everything, mobile, laptop, and he told me I must leave. He continued walking, pretending nothing happened, and someone called him in front of their house. That was even recorded in our CCTV in front of our house. I was confused and went inside our house. After an hour, me and my wife decided to pick up our son at school. As I go out of the driveway, I saw Mike. He gave me a hand gesture saying hi and a hand signal telling me to go to him. I drive the truck to his direction. He said they found her in Vernal and told us she's already dead. My wife started to cry, and when I look at Mike, it's like a normal, as if nothing happened. He was still well composed, not usually reaction of the husband who just lost his wife. We leave and pick up our son at school. As soon as we got home, I booked a ticket going back to the Philippines. I just told to my wife, it's urgent. I need to be home. I did not tell her anything. I booked the flight that night at 10:45 going to Washington. Between 2:30 to 3 p.m., me and my son head to Park City and arrived at 5:30 p.m. I remember I have a friend who was a police officer in California. I called him and told him what happened and what I saw. He told me, calm down, and that US and the Philippines have treaty. If I am not guilty, then I have no reason to leave the country. He told me about my rights and not to say anything without the presence of a lawyer. I realized, why do I need to leave when I know I am not guilty of anything? I decided to turn around and going back home. When we got home, I ate dinner and checked the CCTV. I turned the camera to Mike's house direction to check if Mike was there outside. After a dinner, I went out of the garage. It was also recorded in our CCTV. I saw Mike. He was standing near the room. I went straight to him. We talked near the fence. He asked me, why you're still here? I told him, I can't leave my family, Mike. Nate, I know Mike for like almost a year. He's a good guy. But that was the first time he talked to me using to his finger and pointed out my face. You must leave. I asked him, who did it? He told me two names, Mundi and Julia. I asked him, do I know them? He said, you don't know them. I again asked, where they are now? He replied, they're still here. I asked him, why me, Mike? He bowed his head. At that moment, I started to cry in front of him. And I then said to him, you know, we came here to the US. It's because we wanted to give better life and to experience great opportunities for our children. We left our house and almost forgot what I had in the Philippines. Especially, we left our loved ones. He didn't say anything. He was listening. He now asked for my Venmo to pay for my ticket. I answered him, no need, Mike. I can pay and book my ticket. I'm pretty sure at that moment there were people around, so us talking. Three were seated on the grass. I went back to our house after I heard what Mike has to say. I thought I will be blamed for the crime I didn't do. I decided to leave the US and book a ticket again through my wife's mobile. I got a flight at 7:45 going to Korea. My wife was actually confused as to what was really happening. Me and my son left the house at around 12 midnight, October 9, 2024, US time and date. I did not say anything to my son, even to my wife. As soon as I got internet connection, I contacted a friend. There was no way to reach my wife. When I called him, a police officer talked to me. I forgot the name of the police officer. He asked me, how was my flight? I told him it was great. He asked me what my weight and my height. I told him I am 5'7" and 74 kilos. He also asked me how many of us carried Kim inside the car. I told him I did not carry Kim inside the car. He asked me if I have scratches on my arms and body because they got some skin on Kim's nails. I told him I don't have scratches on my arms and body. He also asked me if I am having an affair with Kim. I told him Kim was like a mother to me. I am not in relationship with Kimberly. He told me they found semen in Kim's body and that I'm sure it was not mine. The police officer told me go back to the USA to cooperate with the investigation. I told him, sure, I will go back in 3 days, but I have to see my parents first in our hometown. After the call, I asked my friend to book me a flight going back to the US. He got me a ticket with a flight on October 15 or 16. I forgot already. And he even arranged my transport from Salt Lake going back to Roosevelt. On October 12, 6 a.m. Philippine time and day, I asked my siblings to go to our parents' house. Two of my siblings knew I was coming home, but they didn't know the reason why I'm back. My parents surprised to see me. I told them what happened. My father told me immediately to go back to my family and to face everything. My parents and my siblings agreed that I should go back to the US to prove my innocence. After an hour, while at the parking in front of our parents' house, I received a call from my son. He told me he was with a police officer. I didn't say them because the lights were off, and my son told me that there was a witness that I killed Kimberly. My parents and siblings heard what my son told me because it was on speaker. We were all surprised why they have a witness saying I killed Kimberly when I know I was innocent. Day before my flight, there were a news that came out and turned out I am the suspect to the murder of Kimberly. Everything's changed, and my family told me not to go back because they fear for my security. I have read a lot of news online about me and that I personally confess to my wife that I murdered Kimberly. It was not true. With those false information and accusations I read from the news, I decided not to go back and I felt that the investigation was biased. For how many months? I have no contact with my family in the US. Later on, I found out my siblings had contact with my wife and kids. My sister told me she finally convinced to my wife to come back home to the Philippines. They arrived here last August 2025. After 3 weeks, I finally got to talk to them on mobile. I did not confront them to the lies they told the authorities in the US. I know that there was a story behind that confession. Now, I decided to come out and tell my side of the story. I can now assure the safety of my family. I kept silent for a long time. I knew no one will believe me and everything was pointed at my direction. And I don't want to compromise my family's safety. There must been a reason why my wife told the authorities that I confessed to her that I killed Kimberly. I knew my wife, Nate. I knew my wife for 18 years. We've been married. I know the way she is, the way her eyes, the way her face, especially the way she talked. Also, my son, he was still a minor. They charged me first, vulgarity. Why they charged me with it? I did not enter the house. I did not enter the house forcefully, neither did I break any glass nor use special tools to enter their house. I was giving the garage passcode with, with permission from Mike. Second, robbery. I did not get anything from their house. I did not go inside the rooms. As far as I remember, I just went to their kitchen and garage. I have seen the interview of Jessica Boren, the daughter-in-law of Kimberly. They don't believe that they were robbed because nothing was taken. The jewelry were there, everything was intact, and no signs of robbery. They are right. According to the interview, she said that maybe they charged me a robbery because I drive the car. Again, I did not get anything from their house. We have a great life. Money for us was not an issue. There was no reason for me to do it. Not to brag, but every other month we go on vacation with our kids. We live in a new and nice apartment in Roosevelt City. We have cars. Back in the Philippines, we have house and lot, 3 cars, 3 motorcycles. We sold our 2 pickup trucks and 3 motorcycles before moving to the US for our startup money and to sustain our needs for the next 3 years, even if I don't have work in the US. With my wife's salary, we were able to pay the bills on time every month. Last January 2023, I went I went to the Philippines for 2 weeks to get my money from my previous company I worked with as a subcontractor in the biggest construction firm in our place. And that same year, month of July, for 3 weeks, again, I went to the Philippines to get my money for my family from the company I work with. It was all declared at the immigration before I entered to the US. Third, kidnapping. I drive the car in a good faith. I did not know the body of Kim was inside the car. Come to think of it, if I was the one who did it, I think I will not drive the car out of the garage. I can just walk away and easily reach our house in seconds. I knew there's a lot of surveillance cameras. Kim's car windows were not tinted and very clear inside and out. People will easily recognize me. Fourth, murder. I firmly stand on the truth that I did not kill Kimberly. I have no reason or motive to do it to Kim. How can I kill a person whom I treated as my own mother? She was so nice to us. She baked goodies for my kids. Sometimes, if we're not home, she was the one who will wait for youngest son from school bus. My kids love her so much and even call her grandma. Again, I don't have motive or reason to kill Kimberly. I did not get anything. Our family, my reputation, and my life has been ruined. In my whole life, I never thought of killing someone out of grudge or any other reason.
Is that your statement then, Henry?
Yeah. And if you
I appreciate you sharing that. Can I just ask you a couple of clarifying things because of your accent? I'm wondering, would you be okay to send me that written thing? I want to be sure that I quote it accurately.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah.
And you said the two names, Mike.
Bondi and Julia.
What? Say them both one more time. What were the two names?
Bondi and Julia.
Bundi,
Bondi and Julia.
and you don't know who they are.
I don't know who they are. Just Mike called me.
And just so I understand, he asked you to go get the car and bring it to him out of the garage.
I thought Nate, I was because he used. Can you pick them? I thought I was picking up my wife and Kimberly because that day my wife she's with Kimberly.
I see. He asked you
Yeah.
to go pick up your wife and Kimberly because they were together.
Yeah, I
And
thought.
you went in the garage and moved the car out. You saw stuff in the
Yeah.
back seat. You didn't realize that Kimberly was in the back seat.
You know, I didn't realize, and I didn't saw Kimberly that day. I mean that time when I was in garage.
And right now, you don't have any contact with your wife or son.
I talked to them once when he arrived here in the Philippines.
Have you told the police all of this, Henry?
They had to say, I don't trust them. I don't trust them. I hope they will understand, because I don't trust them, because the way they investigate, I feel that they're biased.
Do
And I
you?
can yes,
Oh, go ahead.
go ahead, Nate, it's all right.
Oh, I was just going to ask you. So, do you think Mike knew all of this and tried to frame you?
He set me up, Nate. He set me up because I realized when you talk Jessica Boren and her aunt during your interview, and the old lady said that I think it was my neighbor. Mike already know that I already I already here in the Philippines that time.
You were already
So it's
gone.
yeah, so it's all set up.
And the reason you left so quickly, as you just told me, is you were nervous that they were going to come and get you.
Again, Nate, I'm sorry.
The reason that you left Utah is you were nervous. Well, you were in shock because of what had just happened, but you were nervous that the police were going to come and get you.
Yeah, I was afraid for the crime I didn't do.
What do you plan to do now, Henry?
Now I will ask my lawyer if is it okay to send an email to FBI to cooperate, because they already involved the FBI here, Nate. They
The
said that
FBI in the Philippines.
no, there's the FBI here. I will send an email uh, to the FBI to cooperate, to inform them that I am willing to cooperate with the investigation and submit what I have.
You mentioned some of the surveillance video and the Venmo and anything. Do you have screenshots of those things? I guess
Yeah,
it would have been better if Mike had paid for your ticket to come over here,
no,
because then you would have had
I,
proof.
I didn't accept the the offer from him
You
when
didn't
he told
accept
me.
it, but
I did.
now I bet you wish you would have to have the proof.
I have a proof for our CCTV that this is the front of our house, and this is we are talking behind our truck. So I have a CCTV camera in front of our house.
Uh-huh.
And also, Nate, I have uh, when I get the gift from the sofa, I have also a proof that I have a CCTV in my sofa.
Right.
I will,
Well,
yeah, I will send it to you if you want.
that would be great. Yes, please. So, but
Uh,
does the
Nate,
camera show anything though?
yes. And this is the important thing to me, Nate. This is very important thing to me. My garage, because I was inside the garage when he called me, and they can, if they review, they can see it, they can hear it. That someone called me, and someone asking for help, for a favor to open the garage and open the back door fence.
You have that on video.
Actually, Nate, my actually my the whole camera. I mean, what
The
I
system,
have
like
a
the camera system.
yeah, I have a camera, but they already took it from the police.
So the police have the camera system.
Yeah, they took everything. They
But
took everything.
that camera system should show that you got a
Yeah,
call in the
yes,
garage.
yeah. Nate, I already saved it in the folder. If they review, they can see it, they can hear it. That someone called me that time,
There's audio too. You can hear the call.
audio and video. Yeah,
What about I heard somewhere, Henry, that there was blood on your driveway.
I don't think so, Nate. I don't think so. I don't think so. There is blood.
There wasn't blood on your driveway?
No, I don't. I don't believe.
Okay. Okay. Um, well, again, I appreciate you breaking your silence and sharing this with me.
Think about the blood in my garage. It's like every time we came to Las Vegas, we took a groceries, pork, and there was a lot of blood in my garage. It's like but it's, I don't know how to say it in English, Nate, but if you can allow me, I will say it in Tagalog.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Every time pag galing kami sa ibang-ibang state, bumibili kami ng mga groceries, whole whole groceries 1 month. And bili kami ng manok, baboy. So, meron daw mga dugo na naiwan doon. Kapag binaba namin sa loob ng sasakyan, nilagay namin doon sa garage. Yun na yung parang ano niya, parang marka na may blood doon sa garage.
I
Yeah.
don't know Tagalog, but here's what I think
Yeah,
you may have said. You would buy your groceries for 1 month at a time, and you would buy meat that might drip
yes.
and cause blood.
Yeah. You're right, Nate. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
What I believe the warrant showed is they said drops of blood in the driveway.
I don't know Nate about.
Okay. 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 Well, do you want to address the allegations that you were domestically violent with your wife and your child?
Nate, you know, I don't know. It's like how can I violate my wife and my own family? It's like for me it's like a discipline for my kids. Uh, but I did not hurt them like for abusing them. No.
You're saying any sort of thing like that would have been discipline
Yeah, it's all discipline. It's all discipline.
with your wife as well?
Mm, Nate, it's like a normal thing being a couple. There's a argumentation, between my wife and I. But I didn't hurt my wife physical. No, I did not. Even once, I did not.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was surprised when I heard that I am a abusive husband, or they are suffering for domestic violence. No,
Henry, why are you scared for your safety?
I care. I scared for my safety because I am in a foreign land, and I get no family in the US.
Uh-huh. Are you able to work now, or are you just kind of hiding out?
For now, this is not the end of my everything. I have to work for my kids. So I have to work with them, but I am far from them right now.
So you're sending him money.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the FBI says, okay, we want to hear from you and we want to know your story, you said from this point, you're willing to talk with them now.
Yes. Just the FBI, Nate. Yes. I
Just
will
the
cooperate.
FBI.
Yeah, I will cooperate because they already involved the FBI. Yeah.
Right. Right. And would that include coming back to America and testifying or giving a statement?
Nate, I'll be honest with you. I was afraid for my safety, and I was afraid for my security. So about that, I don't know what will happen, or Really, I really don't know. But first, I have to face my extradition case here in the Philippines. Yeah.
Right. And Henry, I'm sorry. I just want to be sure that I'm clear, because I want to be sure we get this out correctly. You're saying you drove around the car, you realized you heard a noise coming from Kimberly, you realized it was her, you panicked, drove around a little bit more because you didn't know what to do. Then is that when you parked and called your son to come and pick you up?
Yeah, that was the time that I called. First, I called to my wife and she didn't pick up her phone because she was cooking at that time. So I called to my son.
And he came and got you, and you got in his car and you just left the car there.
Yeah,
And why didn't you call the police?
because Nate, again, I was afraid because I was afraid what I saw behind me. Yeah,
And did you tell your son at that point, Kimberly's dead in that car?
Nate, again,
Do you remember? Did you tell your son that you won't believe Kimberly's dead in that car? Or were you
I
just,
did not tell to my son anything. I did not tell to my son anything.
you didn't tell him anything
Yeah, I did not
ever?
ever. I did not. That's why I was surprised.
I think you may have heard in the interview I did a few months ago that they said that your son went to basketball that night and said something to Kimberly's grandson, like I heard about your grandma.
Yeah, because we already saw the the Facebook that Mike posted that his wife was missing.
Oh, so your son may have seen the Facebook post and that's where he
Yeah,
got that. It wasn't from
yeah,
you.
yes.
But then you did end up telling your wife what happened.
I didn't tell to my wife what happened.
You never have told anybody.
Anybody? No, no. Just my lawyer here in the Philippines.
I'm sorry, one more time.
Just the lawyer here in the Philippines.
So
I mean, my lawyer.
you've told your lawyer and you've told me, but up to this point you haven't talked to your wife, your family about your version of what happened.
Now they already know since I have a statement. They already know that I have an interview between you and me.
You've told them that we're going to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Well, Henry, I appreciate you reaching out to me. I really do. Um, and I hope that this case is solved and that with your information, it can get there. I think that the police would want to. I hear from you. I understand, your distrust perhaps in some of the investigators, but I think you coming forward and speaking can go a long way. Is there anything you want to add, Henry?
I have a, I have a message for I have a message for the head of Bernal City Police. Sir, I am I asked for deeper investigation in this case. I have also a message for Detective Dallon Column. I don't know what is your basis. You put in my name that I am armed, dangerous, and violent. Nate, I just want to clarify the authorities here in the Philippines that I am not armed, I am not dangerous, I am not violent. Never did I hurt anyone here in the Philippines, and I have no criminal record with the police. The information provided to the Interpol were incorrect. It claims I have killed 6 persons in the Philippines, which is false. I respect the detectives and the investigators, but this false information needs to be clarified because it has a major consequences and putting my life in danger. There was a write-up at additional information at, at on the red notice that this person, Mr. Resuera, has killed 6 persons possible in the Philippines. I want you to know that People here in the Philippines are not chicken. It's not easy to kill here. Even if you kill someone by accident, you will face a big trouble. So I challenge you, Detective Dallon Colum, come to the Philippines and my place. You can coordinate with Philippine National Police or MBI. If you can find out that I killed someone here or I have any criminal record, I will voluntarily go back to your country. All of the sudden, you changed my life by putting false accusation and information. That is why I lost my hope. I lost my trust the way you investigate. Now, I am calling the attention of FBI Salt Lake to Director Kash Patel. Sir, if you can send someone from your team to dig deeper reinvestigation, I am willing to cooperate and submit everything that I have, including my mobile. Thank you so much. Message to the family of Kimberly. My words are not enough to console all of you. I apologize for keeping silent up to this time. It took me so long to have courage to tell everything I know, as I was afraid for the safety of my family. They suffered a lot during the interrogation and investigation, and I don't want them to suffer even more. Losing Kim was not just a losing a neighbor, but losing a friend, a mother, a grandmother, and a family. She's one of wonderful people I know. I will be the key to solve this mystery. Who will benefit if something happened to Kim? All I can say, it was really Mike, who was the mastermind all of this. He set me up for his selfish interest. I hope justice be served and put the killers behind bars. All my statements here and allegations are supported with documents. Message to Mike. I thought we're friends. I thought we're family. Why you allowed me to be involved in this? I am talking to you, man to man, father to father. Tell the truth. It's not too late, Mike. One day, you will face Kimberly afterlife. I know you are totally happy with a new wife. But please, you are my only hope to clear my name because I knew you knew who did this. Now, there are 4 children suffering because they are living without the father by their side. Nate, I have also screenshots here when Mike sent a message to my wife that he is pretending he is looking to his wife.
Can you read that? I can't really see it. Was that after Kimberly was killed?
Yeah. Hazel, do you know where Kim might be? Her car is gone and she's not answering her phone or text. And I also got my 2 tickets. I booked my tickets in one day.
Mm-hmm.
And, here also our conversation.
Yours and Mike's?
Yeah,
Yeah. Henry, those are hard to see over the screen. If you wouldn't mind scanning those and sending those to me.
I will. And
Okay.
also, Nate, uh, again, for you, thank you so much for your time and to give my time to to express and to tell what was happening in the whole story. And also, I am calling the attention of your amazing president, Donald Trump. Mr. President, from the bottom of my heart and clear consent, I did not, I did not kill your citizen. We came to the US to live, our American dream, not to harm anyone. Thank you, Mr. President. Please help this family. Give them peace of mind and peace of heart. God bless you and God bless America.